Hi, and welcome to EmergingIssuer.com. I'm your host, Denise Poole. With us here today, we have Joseph W. Parker. He is the chairman and the CEO of the Transnational Automotive Group. They are trading under the symbol on the over-the-counter bulletin board, TAMG. Thanks for coming down today, Joe.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
it's
for
a
being
pleasure
here.
to be here.
Good to meet you. Now, over the past few weeks, Transnational has had some pretty exciting developments.
Right.
Which of the most exciting has been the arrival of the first shipment of buses. They are launching the first reliable public transportation in 15 years. This system is going to be open for both the urban and the rural areas in Cameroon. Now, Joe, can you tell us how the people of Cameroon have received this, what kind of impact this has had on them, and also what kind of impact this has had on TAMG?
Well, this is our first operation for TAMG. We've landed our first 28 buses in the port of Douala. About 17 of them were urban buses, 11 were rural. And it's hard for me to describe the excitement the people of Cameroon had for these buses. They've been waiting for some kind of transportation system for about 15 years. We drew a big crowd at the port. The press was there. We were inundated with congratulatory messages from all our Cameroonian friends in the government. What was very interesting, though, was the emotion that the Cameroonian citizens had at the quality of what we've sent them. There are some buses in Cameroon. They're generally 20, 25 years old. They're full of chickens and cows, and they're hot and stuffy, and they're not safe. We are bringing in buses that are brand new. Mm-hmm. They are air-conditioned. They have video entertainment and publicity systems. They have security cameras. We have security guards. In fact, this is probably better public transportation than most cities have in the United States and Canada. And this has been very well accepted by the people. They can hardly wait for us to get those on the street, and we're looking forward to getting them out there just as soon as our drivers and mechanics and other employees get fully trained so they can operate them efficiently.
Excellent. Now, we hear that Transnational is doing some business in China. Can you elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Oh, yes. Our buses were acquired from China. We have an operating agreement with Zonda Bus, which is one of the larger bus makers in China. They're out of Yangshan in the Jiangsu province. They supplied these buses and did a phenomenal job. They also had a little ceremony when these buses left the factory. Chinese fireworks, the band, they had dragons running around. It was amazing to see this huge line of buses and all the employees out there to give these buses the send-off. And even when they got to the port in Shanghai, which is a huge port, probably one of the biggest in the world, mm-hmm. The entire port management was out there to see these things loaded off because they know what kind of impact this will have, not only for China, but for Africa. So we have this agreement with Zonda. They supply us our buses, and in turn we give them some technology to improve their product. We also have working agreements with other manufacturers in China for automobiles, trucks, SUVs, vans, motorcycles, and other automotive equipment that we will need in our operations both in Africa and worldwide.
Now, you have recently appointed Mr. Terry Kalapakis to TAMG's, he's the new president, I hear, and the new COO. So why don't you recap for us a little about his background and what contributes he plans to bring to the table?
Okay, now, I will tell you that Terry is an old friend of mine from our Army days. We were lieutenants and captains together. Much as I was an infantryman and ranger, he was also. We split ways after about 10 years when I went to become an African political expert, and he became a China political expert. Oh. So about 2 months ago, we were in need of a good China expert and a good administrator to come in the company. So I called Terry, who at the time was a professor for counterterrorism at the Asia Pacific Studies Institute in Honolulu. And I said, Terry, I need you up here to help me run this company. He didn't ask me how much money I was going to pay him. He didn't even ask me where it was, and he didn't ask what he was going to do. He simply said, Joe, I'm coming to help you. He hopped on a plane. We met in Seattle. We went to China. He helped us sign a few of these contracts. and now he's on board. A tremendously efficient administrator, gives us good contacts throughout China. He like most of us, speaks another language. He speaks Chinese as well as English. His wife also speaks Chinese, and he's been a great addition to our company.
That's excellent. That's really great to hear. So on a completely different topic, Africa, they've always known to be quite a hot spot. There's a lot of warlords and rebel armies, etc. But you don't really hear about Cameroon. So why don't you tell us about the political stability of Cameroon and what sets it apart from the other surrounding countries in Africa?
You know, Denise, this is a great question, and a lot of people ask me about this. Because they believe everything they read in the paper and they think that Africa is just a terrible place. Well, let me tell you, Africa is 3 times the size of the United States. It's a huge continent with 50 some odd countries, and they're as different as all the countries in this hemisphere and in Asia. So naturally, when you read the paper, you only read the bad things that are going on. You never read the good things. But let me tell you about Cameroon. Very stable country, good economy, stable economy, people in need of investment. It's an oil country. It's one of the largest exporters of oil from Africa. We targeted Cameroon for these very reasons. The people needed transportation. It was going to be a profitable market. On top of that, I will tell you that we also have taken the precautions to protect the investment of the company and, of course, our shareholders.
Yes.
We are providing sovereign risk insurance from the Overseas Private Investment Corporation of the United States government that protects our investment against terrorism, civil unrest, war, or nationalization. And that's frankly better insurance than you could buy here in the United States or Canada for your businesses here. Try to pick up insurance on your building for an act of war, and you'll all know that in the insurance policy it specifically will prohibit that. Well, we are covered for that. All our properties over there, we have 500 acres in an industrial-free zone. We have a rock quarry. In fact, we have 2 rock quarries in our industrial-free zone. We have a depot. We have office buildings coming online, and all these things are insured. So if anything should happen, our fault, some warlord's fault, or anything like that, we're covered. But let me tell you, in Cameroon, there are no warlords. There are just a lot of people who want to have safe public transportation and a very cooperative and honest government that we're dealing with. At no time has anybody in the Cameroon government asked us to do anything that would be in violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of the United States. Our lawyer for our company in Cameroon is the chairman of Transparency International, which is the leading private voluntary organization that promotes honest government throughout the world. And we have just had a wonderful experience in Cameroon. And all of our people that have been there, our investors, have seen this, and their reaction is usually, well, why aren't we doing more here? So Africa is a good place to invest, and not just Cameroon. We have work pending in several African countries: Niger, Rwanda, Tunisia, Ethiopia, and all of these places are great places to do business. Now, you remember when I told you about Terry,
Yes.
and we said Terry was an expert in China politics. He served as a defense attaché in China. He has lived there. He's worked there. Well, I did the same thing in the U.S. government when I was a military officer about 150 years ago. And I was a defense attaché in Africa. I speak French. I've lived all over the continent. I've worked all over the continent for 30 years. So one of the hallmarks of our company is that we have people that not only speak the languages, but know the areas intimately, they know how to get business done, and more importantly, they know where the profitable business is. Now, we don't bother with things that aren't going to be profitable because, I mean, let's be fair, we're not in business to lose money. We do have a philanthropic company, Serie 8 International, that does help people in the areas where we work, and we are doing some things with them as well. But I think Africa is a wonderful place, and it's wonderful people. I caution businessmen going to Africa to make sure they have somebody with them that knows what they're doing there. And usually the best place to go are companies with a proven track record and a proven capability of dealing in that particular geographic area, whether it's Asia, Africa, Latin America, or even Canada.
Well, Joe, I must say thank you very much for coming here and talking with us about this. It was really great.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You gave us a lot of information that is going to be very useful in the future. I wish your company all the success for TAMG. And for EmergingIssuer.com, I'm Denise Poole.